down at the collar. Hold on your strap at the sides of the jacket and loop it once around your back. Securing the strap, tie the nodular loop at the front of the jacket. There are two exit doors located at the front and the back of the boat. Until life oils at the back of the boat. Passengers should also be reminded that smoking is not allowed on board. Please do not dispose any rubbish into the river. If assistance is required, please contact our crew members. Thank you for traveling with Singapore River Cruise. We wish you a pleasant journey.
As we cruise round Marina Bay and begin making our way back down the Singapore River, have a look to your right at a Singapore landmark that really needs no introduction. It's the iconic Marina Bay Sands Integrated Resort, featuring a casino, hotels and convention center, world-class entertainment and retail shops, all housed within award-winning architecture that resembles a ship atop 3 towers. Notice also the palm-shaped Arts and Sciences Museum and the unique Helix Bridge. This 280-meter engineering marvel has been modeled after the structure of DNA and was inspired by the Asian concept of yin and yang, built to bring wealth, happiness and prosperity to Marina Bay. This bridge will also link you to another awe-inspiring attraction, the Gardens by the Bay. Spanning 101 hectares, this award-winning super park is home to over 250,000 rare plants from all over the world. Enjoy the lush outdoor gardens, huge climate-controlled dome conservatories, and the towering futuristic super... Utama renamed it Singapura, meaning Lion City in Sanskrit, after he spotted a lion on its shores. The lion's head represents the lion spotted by the legendary Sang Nila Utama, while its fishtail symbolizes Temasek and Singapore's humble beginnings as a fishing village. Measuring 8.6 meters high and weighing 70 tons, the Malayan sits on reclaimed land looking out to sea. She attracts millions of visitors a year who make the trip to Malayan Park to photograph this world-famous icon at her new home right here in scenic Marina Bay. Take a peek behind the Malayan and you'll see a baby Malayan. Believe it or not, linked by suspended walkways with stunning views of the entire park. Living up to their name, the super trees also collect rainwater, generate solar power, and are venting ducts for the park's conservatories, which encapsulate the cloud forest and flower dome. Do you notice that the water here is very calm? This is due to the Marina Barrage, which is a dam built across the 350-meter wide Marina Channel. It keeps out the seawater to create Singapore's first reservoir in the city, a vital source of fresh water and flood control. The Marina Reservoir is Singapore's 15th reservoir. It has the largest and most urbanized catchment area at 10,000 hectares, or 1/6 the size of Singapore. Just imagine, we're now literally floating in drinking water, perhaps the very same stuff flowing out of your taps. Cruising out into the bay, you couldn't have missed the giant wheel in the sky. That is the Singapore Flyer, a sky-scraping observation wheel that measures 165 meters tall, that's 42 stories high, and 150 meters in diameter. That's about the length of 87 Singaporean men lying head to toe. The wheel carries 28 city bus-sized capsules, each allowing up to 28 passengers, which means that its structure provides high resistance to bending force, which comes in really handy since it supports the heavy weight of vehicles zipping back and forth daily. As a gorgeous contrast to the skyscrapers that now mark the Singapore skyline, just look to the right and you'll see sitting grandly before us 3 beautifully preserved buildings that commemorate Queen Victoria, the Empress of India. The Victoria Theatre and Victoria Memorial Hall, which features the clock tower, are both historical monuments dedicated to the performance arts. Right next to them is the Empress Place building, which was constructed in 1907 entirely by convict labor. Previously known as the government offices, the Empress Place building is now also a national monument and home to the Asian Civilizations Museum. Could pass, so look out and don't forget to duck as we cruise under the bridge. Just kidding. Coming up on the other side of Cabinet Bridge, you'll see a group of little boys jumping into the river. Don't worry about jumping in to save them. They're actually incredibly lifelike bronze sculptures showing a scene from the river's past, where children would stand and wave cheekily from their houses. Very often they would take off all their clothes and jump in for a cool afternoon swim. Standing tall and majestic is the exclusive Fullerton Hotel, which blends the elegance of old world charm with every modern convenience. Built in 1928, lots of paper pushing went on behind the hotel's splendid columns before its glamorous makeover. Its facade is a masterpiece of neoclassical grandeur, which belies its much stuffier original occupants, the Chamber of Commerce offices and the General Post Office. This bridge was a popular place for storytellers to gather and jianggu, or shuoshu, which means talking about the past or talking about books. Street hawkers, warehouse laborers, and others from the largely Teochew Chinese community would gather here nightly to be entertained. The storyteller would start by that flanks both sides of the river. As you take in the sights and sounds, you'll be comfortably shaded by lush greenery and definitely tempted by the many shops and cafes along the way. Look across the river and up to your left. See the lush green hill and the large tower overlooking Clarke Quay and the river? That is Fort Canning Hill, where Raffles built his own bungalow, Singapore's first government house. He also planted a spice garden, Singapore's first experimental botanic garden, to cultivate commercially imported spices. The hill was later used by the British as an arms store, barracks and hospital, which probably led to its final name, Fort Canning. But way before the British arrived on our shores, Fort Canning was the place where ancient Malayan royalty once lived and were laid to rest. It was considered so sacred that it was known as Forbidden Hill. Forbidden because commoners were not allowed to visit. Of course, all that has changed, and now you're most welcome to visit Fort Canning to see the old British underground bunkers, and if you're really brave-hearted, explore the ancient gravestones that still remain on its shady slopes. Now here's a building that just begs for attention. See the one adorned with colorful windows on your left? Home to the Ministry of Information, Communications and the Arts, its multi-hued facade not only reflects Singapore's multicultural heritage, but also hints at the building's equally colorful past. Can you believe that this rainbow-splashed complex used to be the old Hill Street Police Station? And during World War II, it's even believed to have been a torture chamber. With such a vivid history, it's certainly no wonder the building was named a national monument in 1998. The Asian Civilizations Museum is a treasure trove of history and culture that will introduce you to the world of Asian traditions. The museum features over 1,600 treasured artifacts in 4 themed geographical zones and includes a Singapore River gallery dedicated to the history and people of our beloved river. Be sure to check it out for an even more intimate picture of the things you've seen and learned on this river cruise. on the right bank, you may have noticed a fine fellow cast in blinding white plaster. Englishman Sir Thomas Stamford Raffles, the founder of modern Singapore. The statue marks the spot where Sir Raffles is thought to have first landed in Singapore in 1819. Back then, Singapore was only a sleepy little fishing village, but Raffles saw enormous potential due to her location along the main shipping route between India and China. After signing an agreement with Singapore's then ruler, Sultan Hussein of Johor, Raffles set about establishing a trading post and free port on the island for England's East India Company. He developed a town plan, drawing up residential, administrative and commercial districts along the riverbanks of this budding island city. The large building we're passing on the right was Singapore's first courthouse, after which it became Parliament House until 1999, when the new Parliament House was developed just next to it. What is that strange disc hovering over Parliament House? Is it a bird? Is it a plane? Is it a UFO? Don't worry, what looked like something out of a sci-fi movie is actually part of the Supreme Court of Singapore. Now this is Elgin Bridge, named after the then Governor General of India, Lord Elgin. Fittingly, the bridge served as a link between the Indian merchants on the north side of the river and a whole myriad of goods to be traded by the merchants who had set up shop in that row of buildings on the bank. Some of those goods included seafood, spices, and rubber. The precious cargo was shouldered across gangplanks by immigrant laborers known as coolies, whose blood, sweat, and tears formed the very backbone of our nation's rise to prosperity. Wonder why all the shophouses are concentrated on just one embankment of Boat Quay? Well, legend has it that the Chinese immigrants chose to set up home only on the south bank of the river. You'll notice how the riverbank curves just like the belly of a cock. In Chinese culture, this majestic fish is an auspicious symbol of good fortune and a great place to store wealth. These first immigrants believed that this part of the Singapore River was where prosperity and wealth could be found. That's also why many banks and businesses started up here and eventually developed this area into our current central business district. Where once boats lined the water's edge, today the banks of Boat Quay are lined with shophouses turned into restaurants and pubs. The facades of the Boat Quay shophouses have been retained, and their unique architectural styles give the district a distinct flavor. Notice how the shophouses are of varying heights? Long ago, this signaled the owner's wealth. In other words, the higher the building, the wealthier the owner. Perhaps these traditional beliefs have extended till today. Just take a look at the tall skyscrapers of Singapore's financial district towering over the Boat Quay shophouses. This is the perfect place for snapping pictures, so enjoy the 360-degree views and drink in Boat Quay's unique blend of traditional Asian values set against a modern and progressive backdrop. See how the shophouses form a charming contrast of Singapore's developing years against the skyline of a new Singapore. This truly is a uniquely Singapore sight. By the way, are you feeling hungry? Hawkers and their pushcarts used to line the riverbanks, selling local dishes that were cheap and delicious. A bowl of Teochew porridge cost only 10 cents. Better yet, side dishes were free of charge. Every day, the people who worked and lived at the river would eat at these pushcarts, sitting on little stools along the river banks. Perhaps that was how al fresco dining got its start in Singapore. Directly ahead is Kavanagh Bridge. The quirky site to your right is Clarke Quay, named after Sir Andrew Clarke, second governor to Singapore. From the late 19th century, Clarke Quay was the bustling center of commerce for Singapore. Hundreds of dongkangs or riverboats jostled bow and stern for a place to dock and unload their cargoes, human or otherwise, from the great ships anchored at the harbor. Tons of goods and produce were stored at the godowns or warehouses by the river, which are those buildings you see along the river bank. One of the buildings here was Whampoa's ice house, which belonged to Hu Ah-kei, a prominent businessman from Whampoa, China. Way before refrigerators existed, he noticed a demand for ice in our hot tropical weather and had blocks of ice hauled from frozen lakes in America all the way here to Singapore. Unfortunately, his ice venture failed because expenses were simply too high. But much respect to the imaginative Mr. Hu for his daring attempt to keep Singaporeans cool. Today, Singaporeans keep cool by sipping drinks al fresco by the river. As you can see, Clarke Quay has been transformed into a different but no less bustling port of call. Everyone flocks here for food, fun, and riverside festivals. You may notice another bridge here, and just 5 cents in the 1960s. Chinese wayang, or opera, was another popular form of entertainment back then, and there were 2 Teochew opera theaters here. In the 1950s, admission to watch an entire performance was just 50 cents, but the common practice was to only pay 5 or 10 cents just to catch the last 10 minutes, which was the most exciting part of the show. Some might say this opportunistic spirit of frugalness endures amongst the most cunning of Singaporean businessmen till today. During festivals and religious events, the opera performances would be staged outdoors for all to enjoy free of charge. The area to your right used to be the site of Riverside Village, a plague-infested squatters' colony.
ここにも鳩場があって、あそこも確か寄ったような。で、ぐるーっと回ってあの川の中に行くんですよ。あの橋くぐって。
Also notice to your right 2 curious spiky domes unique only to the Esplanade, theaters on the bay. Because of its resemblance to the king of fruits, it's been affectionately nicknamed the Durians. But no worries here. Quite unlike its pungent namesake, the Esplanade Theaters on the Bay attracts hordes of hungry culture vultures eager to taste of its many blockbuster productions. As the region's premier performing arts and entertainment center, it boasts superb facilities, showcases world-famous musicals, and features popular homegrown events like the Mosaic Music Festival. And to really top it all off, the Esplanade's breezy rooftop garden offers up more unrivaled views of the city and Bay Area.
明日は見れないし、明後日は分からない。
The green area to your right was once lined with lovely European-style houses that brought to mind the fashionable elegance of London's Mayfair. No wonder the Esplanade was a popular place for European settlers to see and to be seen. Back in the old colonial days, they would emerge from their houses to stroll along the Esplanade every afternoon. Here they would enjoy the sea breeze, exchange gossip, and perhaps even indulge in a little innocent flirtation. As a nod to our colonial history, Queen Elizabeth Walk was opened within the Esplanade Park in 1953 to honor the coronation of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. If you have the time, this path will take you on a pleasant, meandering walk through the park to other interesting national monuments. The bridge straight ahead of us is Anderson Bridge, named after Sir John Anderson, yet another governor of the Straits Settlement. Play and work, as befitting Singapore's position as a global financial, residential, and entertainment hub. It's also part of the 3.5-kilometer Marina Bay waterfront promenade, which has become a popular scenic footpath, especially since this walkway boasts several unique design features. You can look forward to an uninterrupted experiential walk or jog around the bay. Do find time to explore the promenade, which links the landmarks of this beautiful bay area, including Marina Reservoir, Marina Barrage, and Gardens by the Bay. Also located along this fascinating waterfront walk is the Marina Bay City Gallery, which showcases the story of Singapore's urban transformation and the development of Marina Bay. Don't miss its touch-activated exhibits and innovative city model, offering a bird's-eye view of key landmarks in Marina Bay, which will help you navigate the Bay Area.
時間ずれんのかな。本当？あ、本当だ。
火燃やしてる煙が出てきた。
15分。
Used to hang from the pier as a comforting guide to weary seafarers. Mindful of its rich historical past as a bustling trading post and gathering place for food lovers and entertainers, Clifford Pier has been carefully conserved and now serves as the lobby of the Fullerton Bay Hotel. And beside it is Customs House, a charming conservation building from the late 1960s, which began as the Customs Harbour Branch building, one of Singapore's earliest modern-style public buildings. As Singapore's shipping and trade boomed, it became the home of the Singapore Customs Police, tasked with watching over one of the world's busiest harbours. Further up, you'll see the magnificent Marina Bay Financial Centre, which sits on prime waterfront real estate at the heart of Singapore's new downtown.